Hey, thanks for listening in with Basecamp Country Real Estate. If by chance you missed episode 77 of the Habitat Podcast, hosted by Jared Van Hees, here's a segment where Jared and our very own national sales manager, Tom James, talk through what he is up to this time of year in the habitat management world. For more about the Habitat Podcast and Jared Van Hees, please check them out and like them on Facebook or go to their website, habitatpodcast.com. Again, thanks for listening and hope you enjoy this segment.
I kind of wanted to ask you what are you up to today in the Habitat Woods? You know, it's about spring, or it actually is spring now. What have you been up to now?
Well, today, so besides doing some things for my own, on my own property, I do have some friends and clientele that I've developed over the years that I actually do some consulting work for, and still continue to do some hands-on installation and follow-up maintenance for some good friends and clientele. So today I'm actually about an hour east of where I live. I was able to take off this afternoon from work and capitalize on the fact that we had 2 dry days here back to back, which honestly right now is the time, at least for us here in central Indiana, for burning our warm season grass stands and doing some controlled burning. Anywhere from the 3rd week of March to about the 3rd or 4th week of April is really prime time for that. And we kind of watch some natural indicators to know when the absolute perfect spot is, but that's a good range to shoot for. Unfortunately, one of my best friends and a client of mine, I planted back in 2016. I helped him convert 55 acres of top fields on a 640 acre farm surrounded by timber, took 55 acres out of row crop production and put them into a conservation reserve program. And basically it's a quail program. So there's a lot of shorter grasses in it, a lot of forbs and wildflowers. And this was the first year that the contract was allowing him to be able to do the first prescribed burn. And we tried to set this up last weekend to be able to do it. And wouldn't you know, it rained all Friday and Saturday looked dismal. And so just the forecast was not good. But we had a beautiful day yesterday here in central Indiana, and today broke off great. A couple days of some wind and some sun, and I was able to shuffle my schedule around a little bit today and headed over here and rallied some troops and some friends, and we came over here and we burned about 80% of this 55 acres this afternoon. And I'm sitting in my truck right now with some glowing embers in my rearview mirror in the middle of one little tiny spot in the field that I'm going to go check before we call it a night, but pretty successful. And honestly, the rain was supposed to set in here around 7:30 tonight, and it ended up bypassing us completely. So as of right now, no rain. We were able to get a lot of burning done. And it's just one of those things when you got, as the old farmers say, make hay while the sun's shining. Well, if you've got a moment and an opportunity and you have the time, jump on it and get it done, because these weeks are passing by quickly, and before you know it, spring green up is here, and it's almost going to be too late to burn. And the timing of burning warm season grasses is really critical, because if you do it at the right time, you're suppressing cool season competition, but doing it before the warm season grasses are coming out of dormancy. And there's some really good trade-off benefits by doing it at the right time. And so I still help clients. I design some things for different people, and I do some custom planting, and not as much as I used to with my new career at Basecamp Country Real Estate as the national sales manager. I find myself sitting in an office a lot more than I have my entire life, but I enjoy it. And I've been building a team of great guys there, and we're watching that company grow and flourish. So I still have the liberty of doing my habitat things on the weekends and evenings, which I enjoy greatly.
That's awesome. I've always been a little excited and apprehensive to try a burn. How dry does it have to be? I mean, does a drip torch take care of something if it's a little bit damp, or how dry, or what are the conditions you're looking for?
That's a great question. And a lot of it just comes with experience. And soil moisture plays a big part of it. If it's just, we've had a lot of rain here lately, and it's not something that you can expect to go out on that same day after a rain quits, or even sometimes the following day. But you're looking for the right percentage of humidity, a wind speed of about 11 miles an hour or less. But I can go out in my yard almost and look at the conditions and my landscaping, and I can see how the soil is drying with some sun and wind on it. And I know this farm intimately here where I'm working tonight, and I know the fields are all on the top, so they drain well. There's not pockets of water standing like if we were in a lower field. So it's really a case-by-case basis, but as long as the grasses are still standing fairly erect and not laying down on the soil where they're just going to sit there and act like a sponge and pull up water from the ground, if they're up off the ground and have some air circulating whatsoever, then it really takes just a good day with some sun and some wind, some light breeze on those grass tops to be able to dry them out where they will sustain a burn and move a fire through. But if it's all laying down and the soil's wet and soppy and those grasses are soaking that water in, you're going to be very frustrated trying to burn that. So again, case by case, but I knew this place well, and I could just imagine it was going to be pretty much ready for what we tried to do today.
So that rain that you were hoping for, or maybe not hoping for, was that advantageous to knock out the embers, or were you hoping that it keeps kind of burning and smoldering throughout the night?
Well, this farm, I actually did the design on this back in 2015, so it's set up very similar to as far as the burning buffers around this farm like I did my own. So there's clover breaks around this entire farm, well separated from the timber lines to the grasses. So and my landowner buddy has done a fantastic job of keeping those mowed and maintained and healthy. So you've got a great green break between the edge of the grass, 30 feet or so from the timber line. And right now the timber here is extremely moist. All the leaves are wet in the timber. So it's really a safe time right here to be burning. And honestly, our hopes were that the rain would hold off and allow us to get into sunset, which at that time the humidity starts to build and moisture starts to seep up from the ground back up into the grasses, and it starts to slow you down and pretty much puts a stop to you at least in a damp situation. When I say damp, just the overall conditions for the last couple of weeks here have been damp. So we were just hoping to be able to burn till dark, which we did, and I got about 80% of the 55 acres burned. So it won't take much to wrap this thing up in the next couple of days. If the rain holds off, they could actually finish this tomorrow without my help.
Awesome.
But it's again, from 2016 till now, this will be the first burn on this farm. And he's excited to see what's going to happen with these grasses and these forbs and wildflowers just flourishing and coming back to life and doing very well as a result of the release of the nutrients and exposure to the sunlight that this burn did for him.